All right, so let's get into the next big news of the day, which is Joe Biden hosting big tech moguls, Clintons, De Niro, at a state dinner for Japan Prime Minister who compares the country's relationship to Star Trek. Now, I, as a Trekkie, big fan. So I can't see anything wrong with that. But it just goes to prove that with everything going on in this world, that the left really is the party of big tech and liberal elitists now. And that the right, the Republican Party, generally speaking, is the party of the working man and woman. People trying to level up that want small government, less interference, stop giving handouts to people, especially those coming illegally across the border and then getting on to our payroll, when in fact they're not even contributing to the system. All they do is be providing a big drain on the system. Not to mention cutting the line from everybody who's trying to come to the country legally, as Trump would say, legally. So let's go into this whole big tech thing with the big guy and how that dinner was to raise money with all these Hollywood elitists. So go ahead and bring it up. Let's look at it. So you have Washington. President Biden hosted Bill and Hillary Clinton alongside billionaire big tech titans Wednesday night at the White House for a state dinner in honor of visiting Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. The Clintons and De Niro joined the head table in the White House East Room, where more than 200 guests dined on house-cured salmon and dry-aged ribeye steak, while most people in this country live paycheck to paycheck, and they can't afford that steak because it's probably about 36-37% higher than it was 3-4 years ago, not to mention that gas is probably doubled, and eggs are probably 30-40% more than they were, but these are just details. Amazon founder and Washington Post owner Jeff Bezos and Apple CEO Tim Cook sat at tables nearby. Now, if it was the right, I would be equally worried. You have big tech. You got Amazon there, Washington Post owner Jeff Bezos. Okay, so the Washington Post, which is supposed to report news. So you already know now, if they're there at a fundraiser with Biden, you already know how that paper is going to swing. They're not going to be, dispassionate in their reporting. They're obviously going to be preaching from a certain perspective. The big guy was with the big guy from Amazon. And then Apple, which is obviously, these are the largest companies that are traffickers in information in the world. Now you got JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon and Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, who was spotted with wine glass in hand ahead of Biden and Kishida giving introductory toasts, were also towards the center of that room. So again, big money. People that are in policy, monetary policy. Janet Yellen, who said that inflation is transitory. She's there with all of these elitists having steak and caviar, raising money to what? Keep the current way of things continuing to go forward? We both remember the choices that were made to forge a friendship. Biden 81 said during his toast, we both remember the hard work, what is done to find healing. I don't know what he's even talking about. Go ahead. Okay. So this is great. So we took this. You got Bill and Hill. Okay, and I also want to point out, if you will, do we have another slide there? Yeah. I want you to look, because of course we look at these things. That's Bill's hand on Hill. So like you can see she really doesn't want to hold his hand. He's got to do this like, we're doing this. Start making peace with it. We got to look like a happy couple. So he's got to grab her hand like we're going to walk in like we're a happily married couple. Okay, no, Monica didn't say she was going to be here, huh? Really? Go ahead. Let me see whatever you got going on. Okay, others attending the lavish celebration included figure skater Christy Yamaguchi, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, World Bank President Ajay Banga, and United Auto Workers President Sean fame. So you see that all these people are very close to the seat of power, and they're in places that dictate monetary policy, that elicit votes. Again, it's dangerous. It's controlling the electorate, the messaging, giving you your opinion, because they're shaping news. Unlike past dictators, scandal-plagued first son Hunter, he wasn't there. But the guest list did include Jill Biden's top aide, Anthony Bernay, who he was accused of sexual harassment and bullying. Yet he's there. He didn't respond to whether or not it was appropriate for him to be there when he was asked. All right, so let's go on. What else do you got there? Let's see. Okay. You wanted to go back to it. No problem. We go back to it. Because this was the question as that article proceeded. Let me ask you something. Cultural appropriation or no? No. Answer, if you said yes, you're wrong. Because it's a Democrat. So when you're a Democrat, you can appropriate other cultures. Now, if you put on any kind of war makeup on your face to pretend that you are an Atlanta Brave, well, that's cultural appropriation because you're a Republican or a conservative. Like I said, be consistent. Okay, it's not going to be too difficult for me to communicate what I like about this article. Again, and I guess we pulled this from U.S. News section, and I think this is also the Post, if I'm not mistaken. So the headline reads, NPR's new CEO, Catherine Mayer, haunted by woke anti-Trump tweets as veteran editor claims bias. Okay, good. So let's get into it. So basically it says the woke anti-Trump tweets at NPR's new CEO are coming back to haunt her after she struggled to refute bombshell charges of journalistic bias lodged this week by veteran editor. Award-winning NPR business editor Yuri Berliner's lengthy essay in the Free Press was profoundly disrespectful, hurtful, and demeaning. Hurtful. Oh, again, feelings. It's always about feelings. Catherine Mayer, the radio network's 42-year-old president, complained in a letter to staffers. Our people represent America, our irreducibly complex nation, Mayer wrote Friday. I don't know why I gave her like a Southern guy with a cigar affect, but I guess because I saw America. Yeah, I put America in there. All right, so basically, though, she would probably sound like, our people represent America, our irreducibly complex nation. She might even sound like when she said it. Mayer wrote Friday in response that did not address Berliner's evidence of the news organization's relentlessly leftist slant. We succeed through our diversity. Right? So, next time you get on a plane, you hope that the DEI initiatives by your airline also included that the person was, in fact, not always only looking to check a box, but had the requisite skills to fly, not to mention land said airplane. Let's go on. But in January, when Mayer was announced as NPR's new leader, the Post revealed her penchant for parroting the progressive line on social media, including bluntly biased Twitter posts like Donald Trump is a racist, which she wrote in 2018. The hyper-partisan message was scrubbed from the platform, now known as X, but preserved on the Twitter archive today. All right, so essentially, I have no problem with this. I'm glad to know that she is a lefty loony. That's fine. I'm good with that. I would rather know the person's leanings so that when I read articles in NPR, which is publicly funded, by the way, that is the problem with all of this in and of itself, is that it is people that might be conservative or Republican or people that do not go left or center left. You got to know your news, where it's coming from. Well, it's coming from partisan leftists. So that would be good because then you know the source or where the people lean that are writing these articles in NPR. Tuesday, Berliner made waves with an essay slamming the left-leaning broadcaster for ignoring the Hunter Biden laptop scandal in 2020 for fear it could have helped Donald Trump get reelected. Now, when we talked about election interference, which is what Bragg is trying to bring up on Trump in New York, in that he's trying to point to that he paid off Stormy to shut up about the little romp they had, but also trying to take this classy misdemeanor so far as to say, well, it was hidden from the public, which prevented the public from knowing this information, which then affected the 2016 election outcome, launching Trump into the presidency. So had the public known this, think about Stormy and Trump, maybe they wouldn't have voted for him. Well, be consistent, as I say. If the Hunter Biden laptop scan could have helped Trump get reelected, okay, they kept it back. That's okay. But Trump trying to hide this Stormy stuff, not okay. Be consistent. So Berliner, who has then since left NPR, took his longtime employer to task because he was there for like 25 years. For coverage of the since debunked Russia collusion saga, saying NPR hitched our wagon to Trump's most visible antagonist, Adam Schiff. Of course, the Steele dossier, all of it phony, paid for by the Clinton campaign in order to character assassinate Donald Trump. Russia, peddled by Schiff and crazy lunatic on MSNBC. I can't even think of her name. Rachel Mad Cow. That's the only way I can remember her name. Mad Cow. Peddled the whole Russia collusion thing. The Mueller report refuted it. Didn't exonerate Trump, but didn't show that he was guilty either. So be consistent. Call it down the middle. In D.C., where NPR's headquarters, many of us live, I found 87 registered Democrats working in editorial positions and 0 Republicans, Berliner said. None. Mayor's Friday letter did not mention this finding or debunk any of Berliner's bias claims. So if there were 0 Republicans at NPR, that's fine. At least they're admitting it, or we know it. So when you read NPR, you know it's a leftist slant. So if there is persuasion in these articles, at least you know who's writing it, where it's coming from. You may not even need to actually use NPR as a source of your news.